Hello and welcome to today's webinar hosted by Kendall Hunt Publishing. Whether you're curious about AI or already experimenting with it, today's webinar will help you think how it might fit into your first year experience course. Today's presentation is being recorded and you'll be sent a link in the next day or two. In addition, the presenter would like this to be interactive, so please use the chat or Q&A functions to ask questions and I'll read them aloud to her at the end. Actually, throughout the presentation. Our distinguished panelist for today's presentation is Dr. Marsha Fralick. She's taught college success courses for 45 years and is a frequent presenter at conferences related to student success. She's the author of the College and Career Success line of textbooks through Kendall Hunt Publishing. Her college success program in the San Diego area, my favorite city in the world, has received many awards from students and faculty and was designated an exemplary program by the California Community Colleges Board of Governors. Today's topic is based on content from the 2025 10th edition of her book, College and Career Success. At this time, I'm thrilled to introduce Dr. Marsha Fralick. Marsha, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks everyone for being here. As Ryan mentioned, I have new editions of all my textbooks, and whenever an author writes a new edition, it's a process of looking at what's happening in the world today and then what kind of changes need to be made. So as I was writing my new editions, I came on two topics that I thought had changed since the last edition and were very important. The first one being AI and how it is impacting study skills and careers and how it could impact our first year experience courses. And the other one is physical and mental well-being. And so I've been doing presentations on that topic. I'll be presenting on that topic at the FYE conference 2026 in Seattle. So here's an overview of the presentation for today. The rationale for using AI. I'll describe the current use by students and faculty. And then I want to focus on practical tools for students and faculty using critical thinking with AI, the ethical use of AI. And I hope I can get in a conversation on how you are using AI in your FYE course or any concerns that you might have. So again, the focus is on practical uses. The target is faculty who are considering or beginning to use AI. And the outcome, I'm hoping we can share some ideas along the way. I did this presentation last year and I had 2023 data. And I was going to delete this slide, but I thought I'll keep it because it shows how much has changed in just 2 years. In 2023, 30% of faculty believed that AI should be banned. 54% used AI with restrictions. 43% believed that they should be incorporating AI in their teaching. And 50% were reconsidering writing assignments, course design, and classroom activities. And at that time, only 54% of college students reported use of AI. So in doing my presentation, I asked AI to create a line chart of student and faculty use as a comparison, and this is what they came up with. So this is 2023 here, and the chart shows a huge increase in just the last 2 years for both student and faculty use. And so here's a summary of that. So students lead adoption of AI. By 2025, 90% of students are using AI tools compared to 72% of faculty. And although there is increased faculty use, most use it minimally, and they're looking for ways to use it in their courses. Faculty usage has increased sixfold since 2021, driven by generative AI and institutional support. While students adopted AI earlier, faculty are closing the gap as tools become more integrated into teaching and assessment. So one of the things to think about is maybe AI in the FYE course. Last week, I read this article in our local paper in San Diego about the California state universities. This system has 460,000 students in California. We have 3 systems of higher education, the University of California, the California State Universities, and the Community College. The California State Universities just signed a new public-private partnership with Amazon, OpenAI, and NVIDIA. The goal to become the nation's first and largest AI-powered university. Big changes. Here's a statement from a student who just graduated from Cal State San Marcos, which is about 30 miles north of here. And she says, AI is the next phase of life. Just like the internet, which changed everything. It's a race, and we need to know how to get ahead. That is the student point of view. And so when we think about the student point of view, how can we as faculty support our students who are living and working in this new era? So I'd like to talk about some AI benefits and challenges. The benefits: increased productivity, improved healthcare. I think that AI will be used to find a cure for cancer. They are working for that in that area in several universities here in California. Increased access to education, I think increased tools in education. And we all have to look around at the profound challenges in society and the workplace. So when we look at FYE, in my FYE courses, I have focused on college, career, and lifelong success. But how about AI literacy? It's a question we could ask about, should this be included in our FYE course? So I'd like to go over some tools for students, how students are currently using AI, how it impacts their career choice, tutor bots using AI to summarize information, exploring further, creating practice quizzes, and writing. And if you are aware of any other tools that students are using as we go along, then feel free to make comments in the chat window. The most significant impact of AI for higher education is AI and careers. I've always included careers in my FYE course because I think students need a vision for the future, and that vision helps them to be motivated to do the hard work that's required to be successful in college. And I think that careers should be early on in the course. Now, with the advent of AI and careers, that's a big question that students have, how to adapt to AI and careers, changing job requirements and increased opportunities. Just today, I read an article right before the webinar. ChatGPT is likely to get rid of 3 occupations in the near future. That is project managers that schedule and track progress, coders. My grandchildren attended a coding workshop this summer. That's now going to be done by AI. And audiovisual production, that's a big industry in California also. AI can edit films, they can edit the sound, do the color correction faster than a human being. So some careers will become obsolete very quickly. While some careers are becoming obsolete, there are some high-paying AI careers, and here are just a few of them. And many of these I had never heard of before. How about machine learning engineer, 109,000. Most of these careers are over 100,000. AI engineer, 160,000. Computer vision engineer, 168. Natural language processing engineer, 86,000. Deep learning engineer, 115,000. Business development manager, 196,000. AI product manager, 128. AI consultant, 124,000. So students are looking at these new careers as a way to have a secure economic future and deal with the change that is happening in our society today. These workers will use AI on the job, teachers, as we are just exploring in this webinar. lawyers, judges, business managers, human resources managers, psychologists and psychiatrists, artists, writers, and physicians. There are also other skills important to adapting to AI, and these are skills that we often teach in our FYE courses. Collaboration, when we have students work in groups, we are teaching a skill that would help them in their future careers and how to work with AI. Communication, time management, adaptability, problem solving, teamwork. You probably recognize some of these topics and teach them presently in your FYE courses. Other tools for students. There's a new article that I just posted for the references today. I have the references posted at my website, and I will provide the address to this at the end of the presentation. But it's an article from Harvard University's What if AI could help students learn, not just do assignments for them? So Harvard has created AI tutor bots for their science and business courses, and students can ask the bot unlimited questions. They can receive feedback. It increases engagement and motivation to learn. So I'll provide the reference to that article. One of the ways that students are using AI, and also in business and many other occupations, is summarizing. So here's a section from my textbook about short-term and long-term memory. Students can cut and paste this into AI and create a bullet summary, so that could help them. For many years, I've taught SQ4R. Maybe some of you recognize that strategy, and that strategy involves looking at outlines and doing some of the things now that students are doing with AI. And so when you look at things that we have recommended for a long time, we have to re-look at them again in terms of AI and how students are actually using textbooks and printed material as they are in business. Ryan, we were having a conversation with Ryan before, and he says, you know, all those bills in Congress, I bet they're taking those bills and putting them in AI for a summary, and I hope AI does a good job of summarizing them. So yes, it's a tool, but it could also make mistakes sometimes. Students are using AI to explore further. So when you put the text into AI, it will come up with a summary. It will give you some links where you could discover more about the topic if you wanted to do that. The other thing it is doing, it will generate test questions and flashcards. So if students have study groups, they can ask AI to take their materials and generate test questions and flashcards so that they could study on their own. So that's a powerful tool for students. In my textbooks over the years, I have an acronym for writing. It's called Power Writing, and that had to be changed to incorporate AI. So the new edition of my textbook has a section on writing with AI. So POWER stands for the steps in writing, which are prepare, organize, write, edit, and revise. And I had to rethink how can these steps be done with AI, and of course, be aware of plagiarism. So plagiarism, one of the things we can do in our first year experience courses is help students understand the concept in their first college courses. As faculty, we have to rethink how we are doing assignments. Rather than telling students don't use AI, I think we need to tell students how to use AI and structure our assignments with AI in mind, realizing that students will use AI, but we can provide guidance in how to do that. So, for example, you might want to give them a prompt to use an AI for your assignment. You might want to ask them to show drafts and the final AI edited content. For FYE courses, we focus on the personal content and creative projects. So for example, in my FYE course, I focus on personality, my personal strengths, how does it connect to a career, and life purpose. So you probably don't want to ask AI to tell you what your life purpose is. So here's an example of an assignment structured with AI. I have one of the new chapters in my textbook has to do with resiliency and how to develop resiliency. So for this project, I asked them to go out to the VIA character site, and this is by Seligman. And it's a free site, which I've listed in the resources, which will help students understand their personal strengths. So I took the assessment, and it comes up with 20 top character strengths, and here are my first 5. So number 1 is humor. When things are difficult, I try to find something to laugh about. And then I have gratitude, forgiveness, perspective, perseverance. So I ask students to take the same character strength survey. And again, if students are aware of their personal strengths in times of difficulty, they can use these strengths to overcome any obstacles and become successful. So my assignment, my character strengths, I asked students to list their top 5 character strengths from this free online assessment. And then I asked them to write a sentence about each one. And I give them my example. When I ask students to share personal information, I share mine first so that they feel comfortable in sharing theirs. So for example, with humor, my sentence is, when a situation is challenging, I try to find some humor in it. Gratitude. Every day I try to be grateful for the good things that have happened in my life, and so on. You can read through some of those. Perseverance. In spite of obstacles, I get the job done. I don't quit if something is important to do. So I took these sentences and I gave them a prompt to use in Microsoft Copilot or any other AI. I tend to use Microsoft Copilot because it's free with my Microsoft subscription. So here's the prompt that I used in my assignment. Use this prompt with Microsoft Copilot or ChatGPT or other AI. Here's the prompt. Write a poem about my character strengths using these sentences. Then copy and paste the above sentences. Here's my result with minor editing. And here's the poem. The way I walk. I walk with laughter in my pocket, a spark I keep for stormy days. When trouble knocks, I answer smiling and find the joke that clears the haze. I walk with gratitude in rhythm, each step a thank you to the past, for gardens grown, for love remembered, for quiet joys that always last. I walk with forgiveness in my stride, though some stones bruise and some betray. I choose to soften, not to shatter, and offer grace along the way. I walk with vision in my gaze, not just the path, but where it bends. I see the whole, the winding story, the lessons tucked in odds and ends. I walk with purpose through obstacles, rain and heat. I do the work. I keep on going until the task is made complete. This is my walk, no need for perfect, each step a stone beneath my footsteps. So you can imagine how this would help a student to internalize some of these ideas. So we're going from an assessment that identifies personal strengths. What does that mean? Write a simple sentence, copy and paste this into AI, ask AI to write a poem based on your personal information. So this is AI assisted writing. It helps students to use AI. And this is a poem that students could use when times are tough to think about how they could deal with difficult situations. Okay, here's going through my writing steps again. So the first step in power writing is prepare. And in preparation, time management. Now, I've taught time management for many years at this point, one of my favorite topics to teach, actually. And so this time I said to Copilot, can you create a schedule to get my term paper done on time? I have 1 month to do my term paper. That's the prompt I use in Copilot. And this is what came up. And I actually included this as an example in my new textbook. So week 1, research and outline. Week 2, draft. Week 3, revising and editing. Week 4, final touches and tips for success. And I looked at it and I was amazed because this is what I have been teaching throughout my careers, and it's AI generated and it's right on track. It says, if you get stuck, don't hesitate to ask your professor or a classmate for guidance. All along, it gives information on how to stay on track. So if I were a faculty giving students a writing assignment, one of the first things I would ask them to do is to ask AI to create a schedule starting from today to the time that the term paper is done. And I would ask students to turn that in as part of their assignment. And then prepare and brainstorming ideas. So for example, if a student were assigned a paper on climate change, you could brainstorm ideas with AI. What are the major factors in climate change, for example? And as you are preparing, students need to understand how to use critical thinking. Are there multiple points of view? Do additional sources of information confirm the truth of the material? Here's a really important question. Is the information ethical and moral? AI lacks moral reasoning. This is my main concern with AI, and I think that everyone needs to be aware of that. Does the information support human well-being? These are the questions of our ages that are super important. I used AI to update this presentation, and I asked AI to generate a list of references that I could share with you. And I did critical thinking when I looked at the references, and to my surprise, I found out that half of the references were mere hallucinations. The article, there was an author listed, a title, a link to the information, and when I pressed the link, it says page not found. And I tried many ways of searching for the articles, and they did not exist. The ones that did work, they were wonderful. But I think that AI has to be used with caution. Students need to understand what those cautions are. We need to know a little bit about evaluating the research. Who funded it? I have a friend who is very interested in vitamins, and he tells me all these wonderful vitamins I should be taking that he saw on social media. And the first question I ask him is, who's selling it? How much money are they making? That's an important question to ask. Are the facts from a peer-reviewed journal or just opinions? How large was the study? How long was it? And I think everyone has to have a basic understanding of statistics. You can use AI to generate references in the appropriate format. The older editions of my book help students to write these references, but with AI, you can just say, here's my list of references, format them in APA, MLA, or Chicago style. So for the references that I did for this presentation, my prompt to Copilot GPT was, here's my list of references, format them in the Chicago style, which is the style that Kendall Hunt Publishing uses, and provide them in a format that I can cut and paste into a Word document. And instantly, they rewrote all of my references, the ones that I had checked out and were real, into Chicago style so that I could put them on my website. That is just amazing. As a writer, I've always struggled my entire life to get these exactly right. And then there's several different styles and each one's different. So what a great tool this is for doing references. Edit and write and revise. You use AI to edit your paper. So you can take your paper, put it into AI, and here's the prompt that you use: edit my paper for grammar and clarity. When I was writing my new edition and I had some new material, this is what I did with it. I put it into AI, And I found that I had to use critical thinking because AI can change meaning, make errors, and use words that do not convey your meaning. So one of the things AI did with my writing is use words that I would never use. I like to speak clearly and directly, and I encourage my students to do so. And so I was pretty horrified at some of the changes that AI made to my materials. However, I did find that AI had a nice organization for my material, and I thought that was better than what I had. And so the end result with some critical thinking was the writing was much better with AI. Here's a simple chart of what I mean by ethical versus unethical use of AI for college students. This is one I think you could share with your FYE students. This PowerPoint will be shared on my website. If you'd like to copy it, it's fine with me. So what is an ethical use of AI? Brainstorming ideas, grammar suggestions, and summarizing sources. That's ethical. Organizing notes, exploring perspectives, drafting respectful emails, accurate translation, enhancing poems or designs, collaborating with AI for inspiration, and using AI respectfully. I think that's important too. Let's take a look at unethical uses of AI. Submitting AI generated work. Fabricating data or sources. AI will do that. Impersonation, generating misleading or inflammatory messages. I'm aware every day of messages on social media, and if they are inflammatory, I think they are generated by AI. Yesterday, I saw a video of a chicken flying like a drone. It hovered over a frying pan, and it dropped an egg in the frying pan. And I went, oh, AI, immediately. Here's another one, claiming AI generated work without disclosure. And again, we can help students with this by telling students exactly how we expect them to use AI, and then sharing deep fakes or deceiving others. I think this is a major problem in our society today too. Shifting gears here, tools for faculty. You can use it to write your syllabus. I'll say assist in writing your syllabus, assessment, course objectives, assignments, writing, and brainstorming. So let's take a look at these. One of the tools that's very helpful in creating a syllabus is it will put the dates in your syllabus for you. When I revised my syllabus, that was always a very tedious task, and I would check and double check to make sure I had all the dates right. But with Copilot, I put in this prompt. I said, create a course syllabus beginning September 1st, 2025 and ending December 20th, 2025. The course title is College and Career Success. The instructor is Dr. Marsha Fralick. Include these chapters and the dates for each. And I clicked on generate, and here's what it came up. So here's my course syllabus. It says week 1, orientation. And I didn't even put that in there, I think. That just popped up in there. And then it has the date, and the date is correct. It even added in course objectives. I didn't ask it to do that. And I thought, I wonder if it's correct. And they were pretty good. You can even ask for suggested activities for each one of the weeks, and it will do that. And again, you have to use your critical thinking. On chapter 2, it's exploring your personality and major. AI suggested that I take my students to the Career Center on a field trip. That's exactly what I do. So, incredible tool. You can create assessments very easily with AI. I've always included a test bank with all of my textbooks, and it takes quite a bit of effort to come up with these questions. And now it can be done with AI very quickly and very easily. So here's my prompt to Copilot. Use this paragraph to write a multiple choice question. And then here's the result, and it comes up instantaneously. What is necessary for information to be stored in long-term memory? And again, you have to use critical thinking to make sure that they're all correct, and you might need to edit and revise, but the outcome is pretty good. Students can generate these too as practice questions. Brainstorming ideas. One of the things that's difficult as faculty is keeping up to date in a rapidly changing world. And so I think it's important to look at what we've done in the past and see, is it still correct? Is there new information here? And so AI is an important tool to explore your content that you've taught in the past to see if it's still relevant, up to date, and correct, and maybe get some new ideas, update your materials, and use AI to organize them. Very powerful tool here. So at this point, I'd like to ask how you are using AI in your FYE course. I know there are many of you here in this session today, and it takes some bravery to put yourself out and say how you're using AI. While you're thinking about it, I'm going to leave this resource page up here, and maybe I'll pause just a few seconds here. I always tell student or faculty when I'm doing training, if you ask students a question, pause at least 6 seconds to give people time to think. So at this point, I'm going to pause 6 seconds and then talk about references or share any ideas.
Marsha, we've had quite a discussion online on the message board
Okay.
during your presentation. So I can share some of the ways people are using them.
Oh, great. I
Case
appreciate it.
studies in the classroom, integrating short videos with reflection discussion, creating simple examples that match their lecture, converting lab questions to a more engaging problem to solve. We have instructors that are using real life code problems to simplify to their programming class, scenarios during teaching, even editing important emails or papers like you had mentioned, quiz prep, and adding more options to multiple choice questions.
Okay, great. I think the key in using AI is to use it yourself. And I started using it last year almost every day as I wrote the new editions for my textbooks. And then I started using it for just about everything. And it's been a very powerful tool. And the more you use it, the more you figure out how it can be used. I'd like to share with you my resources. This is my website, collegesuccess1.com. And so I'm going to click over there real quick and show that to you. This is my College Success website. It has information about my textbooks. I have a tab that's called Training Notes. And these are notes for all the presentations that I do. You can scroll down. You're welcome to use any of the information. Here's the resource. Here are the resources for today, the training, the AI for beginners. So here's my PowerPoint. Here is my AI presentation or assignment that I developed that's writing a poem about your personal strengths. Here's the VIA character survey. Again, this is by positive psychologist Seligman. And if you haven't seen this site, it's a really good one, the viacharacter.org. And it is free and it's quick and it's easy. And I think it's important to help students with resiliency. And here are my 2025 AI references generated by AI, and then critical thinking. I ran it through my brain to say, is it real? Is it good? Does it exist? So these are some excellent references here on what's happening in 2025 with AI. Every day I find new things in the paper or different articles. So it's an interesting topic to explore. So I'm going to close this up. It should take us back to the PowerPoint. If you have academic questions, I welcome them. My name is Dr. Marsha Fralick, and my email is marsha@marshafralick.com. I am now retired after teaching almost 50 years here, and I work as a consultant. I do professional development sessions. I present at conferences. I have conversations with people. So join me in conversation at my email. If you are interested in my materials, you can request a complimentary copy or ebook access with Joshua Nichols at Kendall Hunt Publishing. And here is Joshua Nichols' email address. So you can either email me or Joshua, and we can get you a complimentary copy if you'd like to take a look. So
That's
I'll pause
wonderful.
here to see if there are any other questions.
I have several people wanting access to the slide deck, which you provided.
Yes.
I'll make sure to include that in the email I send with the recording as well. Uh, If you
Okay.
are interested in a copy of College and Career Success for adoption consideration, you can also just reply to the chat here and we'll get a copy sent to you.
And I do have a full edition. I have a concise version. I have a career textbook. I have several cultural ones too. Native American College and Career Success, Hawaii and Pacific Islands College and Career Success. And Kendall Hunt Publishing specializes in custom textbooks. So if you like some of the material and some of it doesn't match your course objectives, it could be customized very quickly.
Marsha, this has been so much fun. This is a great presentation. We're getting lots of feedback on the chat. So thank you for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks everyone for joining me, and best wishes as you help your students be successful.
Have a great day.
Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye now.